Hello there. I'm Dave Burke. The reason I'm preparing this video is for the viewing pleasure of those I'm working with who are either thinking of purchasing a property or those I'm working with who are going to list or have listed their properties. And this is sort of a thumbnail view of what's going on with the real estate market here in the Bitterroot Valley. And the statistics that I'm looking at here are prepared by RPR, which is Real Estate Property Resources, which is the kind of the statistical arm of our multiple listing service. And in this video, I'm going to be looking at the zip codes from Ravalli County, going from Florence in the north to Darby in the south. Ravalli County currently shows to be slightly in a seller's market, although it's so close to a balanced market, I'd call it balanced. The months on of inventory is 4.8, which I think is uh, better than it's been the last couple of months. The sold to list price ratio is 95%, which means that sellers are selling for less than what they're listing by 5%. Days on market is 60, which is higher than it's been in the past. And median price for properties is 517,000. And then I like to compare this to Missoula County, which you can see is a little bit more into a stronger seller's market, mainly because the months of inventory is 3.42, which is less than the 4.8 of Ravalli County. Uh, the sold to list price is 97%, which is much stronger than Ravalli County because sellers aren't taking such a discount when they close. Median days on market's about the same as Ravalli, and the median price on market is about the same as Ravalli as well. Just to take another final view of the market in the state in general, you can see, according to this chart, that the median value for Missoula County is 519,000. For Ravalli County, it's 517,000. For Montana in general, it's 451,000, and for the U.S. in general, 372,000. So here in Montana, we're sort of at the top of the heap as far as values go. And you can also see that over the last 2 years that the market prices have leveled out. Okay, now if you're still with me, I just want to take a few minutes to go through the different zip codes and how the markets relate to each other in the zip codes in the county. And what I find interesting here is I've always wondered as you go around and see these properties, particularly out in the outer lying areas, as to where they belong and as far as which city that they belong in. Because sometimes there seems no rhyme or reason as to why they're in one uh, community versus the other. But this map shows the zip codes, and I think it really clarifies with the little maps as to where the properties are that are uh, shown in the statistics. Now, this first one is for Florence. You can see that Florence is in somewhat of a buyer's market. It's got 4.77 months of inventory. The list price and sales price are almost the same at 99%. And the median days on market is 50, and the median price is 698,000. So this is one of the higher value zip codes. And as you get closer to Missoula, you'll find that the values go up. Okay, now we move on to Stevensville. And you can see in this map that the properties are sort of evenly spaced all over the zip code area. And the Stevensville market is getting stronger as time moves on. You can see that we're in a seller's market, a little bit stronger than last month. And all of these statistics below, which are the months of inventory, sold to list price, the median days on market, and the median sold price, are all headed in a positive direction. So this looks like a really good market for the next month or two for Stevensville. Now we're moving down south to Victor, smaller community, and you can see on this zip code map that the properties are sort of spread out north to south along the Highway 93. And I think this is probably because they are in the foothills and everything that's up to the left is getting up into the mountains. So that area isn't necessarily included, or there aren't any properties right now up in that area. And this is interesting to me because I'm not even sure why the algorithm does this, but you can see that we're in a buyer's market. But then when you look at the different key details, like the months of inventory, the month of inventory is way up, which is probably the reason that the little slide bar has gone down to the buyer's market. But the other categories there for the sold to list price percent, the median days on market, and the median sold price are all up about 20% from the previous month. So I'm not sure what to take out of that, other than more often than not, or is that Victor probably is more of a balanced market right this 5 minutes. Now we're moving on to Corvallis, which, according to their sign, is the heart of the valley. And you can see here that the properties are mostly grouped around the urban core, with a few properties out there up to the east, which is up into I call it the bench area, which is high up, has a great view of the mountains to the west, and a little warmer up there. But you can see that the slide bar here shows the market to be slightly into a seller's market, and probably closer to a balanced market. But the statistics below are what I find interesting, in that the months of inventory is 4.8, which is not great, but it's doable. The sold to list price is 95%, so buyers or sellers are taking a 5% cut on their pricing, and what the median days on market is 165. Now that is a big number, and kind of makes me wonder if maybe this median sold price of $1.3 million having to do with the longer price to medium days on market, because the higher prices take a little longer to find these people that can afford those kind of properties. But all in all, I would say Corvallis seems to be the high price market. I previously stated that I thought Florence was a high price market, but in fact, according to this, Corvallis is the high price market, center of the valley, and I think this is where everybody wants to live. Okay, now Hamilton is the county seat, and you can see on the map here that the majority of the properties are along the spine of the valley, or the Highway 93. Some of the properties out in the flats up in the east side. Nothing that right now up in the west side, up in the mountains. And the market right now in Hamilton is in a somewhat of a seller's market. You can see that the statistics below, the months of inventory, sold to listing price, median days on market, and the median sold price is very similar to others in the valley. And I think this is a good market and probably pretty level for the next few months. Okay, now let's talk about Darby. It's about 15 miles south of Hamilton. It's the tourist destination for the south end of the valley, and there's not a lot of real estate activity down there, and a lot of the properties, if not right in town, are out in the woods and remote areas. So you can see here that there's not really enough properties even to make a fair valuation on the status of the market. The chart here shows that we're in an extreme buyer's market, but there's not enough properties to really develop statistics. So this kind of market, it could be good for you if you have a unique property that somebody wants and you can negotiate a good deal. But otherwise, I would say Darby is definitely a custom market for those that like living remotely. So to sum it all up, you can see here that median sold prices vary anywhere from $492,500 in Hamilton all the way up to $1,342,000 in Corvallis. And the average, or the median sold price in the entire county, is $517,500. And you can see by looking at this that is under any of these numbers from any of the other zip codes. And I think that probably is because there's a couple of high-priced properties in Corvallis that probably skewed that number way up. But when you're working with me for either selling or purchasing a property, this will help you determine sort of what price ranges you're going to be looking at when you decide to make a real estate purchase or sale. So listen, I really appreciate your sticking with me to this, to the end of the video. And I look forward to working with you. And I thank you for listening.